try to plow through and get it done. So at this assessment, remember, this is a homework grade. It's not a test grade. So it doesn't count that much, but I do want you, it doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, I don't want you to get wrapped in a loop trying to find a perfect answer. Here's a hint. If you go from the start straight down to the finish, only doing 3 problems, it's not probably what I intended. So I'll just give you a little bit of feedback and say, go back to question number, maybe it's question number 2, where you got off track, and say, take a look at that again and see if you can go in a different direction. But I don't want to spend hours and hours or days and days trying to get this perfect, because none of us. Let me just start off, and I will do that first row and show you how that's done. If you've already turned it in and you don't get the same answers that I get, because I've done this several times and I've gone this direction, I go back down this direction, but I do more than 3 problems. So just keep that in mind. We want this to be practice. We don't want it to, it does not need to be perfect in order to get full credit. But if you're trying to take shortcuts and just jump through and think I'm not checking your work, I may ask you to go back and give you some hints where to pick up. All right, so this is x to the 1/3, and let's show how, there's a couple ways you can do this. There's not really a lot, some pages to record your work. So I'm going to number this problem. So if you do get off track, I can give you credit for showing your work, because I'm grading this part more than this part, if that makes sense. Hopefully it does. All right, so this is number 1. I'm going to just copy that question down. X to the 1/3 equals 5. We'll take a little bit of time and break this down and show you what we're doing. You should work with a calculator, whether you have a scientific calculator or just a simple one, to double check your work, but it's not necessary at this point. But a calculator is recommended and suggested. All right, so this is can be rewritten as x. Remember, this top number is the power, and this bottom number is the base, or the root, not the base. Oh, I'm sorry, here is the root, like the root of the tree. All right, so this would be x to the first power. We don't need to write that 1. And then we're going to put it under a root of 3, a cube root. So we've simplified the left-hand side. We're going to write the right-hand side. It's already simplified. Now, to get rid of that radical and isolate the x, we're going to both sides. So it makes the radical. We have x, we've isolated it. 5 times 5 times 5. X equals. So here's your answer. Double check it. We have one answer. It's 125. So I'm going to put that in. We have positive 125, negative 125, and 3. So I'm just going to, because I have my answers, I'm going to just go back and double check. Is everything positive? It started out that way. With a cube or a cube root, you can have a negative answer. With any kind of positive root, you can have a positive or negative answer, but when you square a negative number, it's always going to be a positive answer. So that would be 4, but you have the root of positive 2 or negative 2 as possibilities. So let me erase that. And I'm just double checking. And our answer is 125. So over here, I'm going to somehow indicate that we're going in this direction. So I like to use highlighters. Colors make it easy for me to follow. If you don't have a highlighter, that's okay. Just use arrows. I'm going to move into this box. I'm going to label it number 2. So depending on how you go, let's say you went down, you might have a different number 2. So just keep everything labeled over here. Again, I just want to point out that wrong answers, if you show your work and get full credit. Give you a little bit of feedback. This is for practice. All right, so I'm going to just kind of quickly. When we have a number and our base is our variable, we're trying to isolate that. It's just my personal preference to move over to the left, so I'm just going to flip sides and rewrite this as x to the 2/3 equals 9. I'm just going to show you another way that I can work this out. We have x to the 2/3 and we're trying to isolate this. If we raise everything to the 3/2 power, so it's on both sides, it would be x to the 2/3 to 3/2 to the 3/2. This is going to just end up as x. That. Once we've gone through all these steps, you should probably be at this level where I can follow, but you don't have to show all the steps. But I need to see somewhat. So this is going to be 9 to the 3. So that means 9 to the 3rd, this is the power, and this is the root. I'm going to take this root of pi. So this is going to be x equals, write that out. This to show you this is 9 times 9 times 9. Something like 3 of them, so we can take out a 10, taking the square root. And this is going to be, about that for a minute, 9 times 9 is going to be 9. Look at this as remember to be negative 9 times negative 9 is positive 81, or positive 9 times positive 9 is positive 81. So remember that's positive 9, but we're still left with a 9 under the radical, but 9 is a perfect square, and you can take that as well as positive negative 3. So that 3 and that will be positive negative 27 is our solution. A minute, because they gave us just the positive 27, and if a lot of you got that, including me, and I've gotten it right, we went in that direction. So then it doesn't really, unfortunately, get that easy, so it goes straight across. And you can don't get stuck. Don't spend more than 30 minutes to an hour. Daily, you should be going in daily to pre-cal, but don't get overwhelmed by this. All right, now that we're in this box right here, I'll do one more and then I'll office hours, but don't. I'm going to say it again. This is not make a perfect score because it's practice. All right, now let's look at question number 3. Let me label this. Yes, we're flipping it over here. Equals 342. Yeah. And let's this constant. I'm going to break that down. The way that I learned when I was just learning how to do roots. Now this is 3, and back to the power of 3, and then I'm going to take the square root. Break this down into all the class. Makes me really focus on the. This is just a preferred way for me. The way I'm saying you. which is what I should be doing. 343 by 3. Is also division by 7. 7 to the third power. A little bit of clue. It makes it easier for me to actually see it without relying on the calculator all the time. All right, so I'm going to write that as 7 to the third power. 7 minus x. All right, now that I have this, if I can take the 2/3, it simplifies a little bit easier. From having to multiply everything out, right? 77 minus x is equal to also 7 squared. So 77 minus x is equal to 40. Get my calculator out. 77 minus 49 is 28. So the answer is 28. Now I hope I can find that on my maze. Let me get my maze back over here. Write that out. There it is right here. All right, now that we get the idea of how to work it out, remember, if you get stuck, come in for help. I'll be happy to help you. Keep your mind, but don't grind the how I would do it. You don't have to do it exactly the way that I would do it. Sometimes I put too many steps in there. But I'm going to start with taking the negative and multiply everything. This by 4. When you divide this way, make it easier to say so. I'm still dividing by 4. Okay, so I'm looking at this because I probably should have divided by -4 to get rid of that negative. Then 2 negatives. Now this is a little bit easier. But we have a negative exponent, so we need to think about what that negative 4/5 means, what it does to this. Right? Look at it for a minute. I'm going to take a shortcut. What it really does is it flips this upside down. It becomes 1/2 minus 6, and it becomes positive. But we're going to skip that because we're going to use our multiply by. Or this becomes minus 6 to the first power. We have to write the 1 down. We get 2x minus 6, and then I got that right. Yep, I think so. All right, so I'm looking at, know that 16 can be multiplied. The 5/4. Oops. So this and this cancel. 2x minus 6 is equal to 2. Then I want to so 2. All right, so we have 2 and 6 to both sides. Down 38. I believe it's 2. On our main, back over here. I don't see a 19. I see a 19. Go back and check my work. And it's very small, guys, but here's how I'm showing you how to go slow. So now that I've done all this work and I found 19, I'm going to go back and check and have 2x and a root of 4. This is our root. So remember, if we have a positive root we're looking for, we get a positive and a negative solution. So we've got to throw in that as well. I'm going over this pretty quickly just to show you how this works. Okay, so taking my work, my answer in here, positive 19. So we do not get you should pick out going the best you can, but the goal is to get here, get done. If you're going all over the place and getting tired, turn in the work that you've done, and you'll get full credit if you've done more than, this is just a hint, if you've done more than 3 of these things. And come in for help if you need help with this. All right, thank you.